Hi there, my name is Solomon David and welcome to my YouTube channel where I teach you how to play the violin in 15 easy lessons. What you can expect in this course is the basic fundamentals of violin playing. You'll learn how to analyze music and play sheet music on the violin. What you'll need is a violin and a bow, so do get prepped for your very first lesson. Do like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy. Hi there and welcome back to another lesson on how to play the violin in 15 easy lessons. For today's lesson, chapter 11, we are finally diving into score analysis and playing our very first complete piece. So if you've not taken out your violin, please do so right now. Alright, so our very first piece that we will be analyzing and learning how to play in this lesson is Mary Had a Little Lamb. So if you've been keeping up with our lessons, you probably learned all the technical and theoretical things to help you in today's class. I have created a 5 easy steps to follow on your score analysis, the checks you should do before actually learning how to play the piece itself. So let's go through the 5 steps and then I'll show you how to put it into use on the music sheet. Okay, the very first step is to identify. So the first step in identifying is to identify things like the time signature. So identifying the time signature allows you to understand what are the beats and how you're going to count these rhythms. So that's our very first step, identifying the time signature. The second one would be to identify the key signature when you are analyzing a music sheet. Why so? So you can understand what are the sharps or flats or accidentals that will be present when you play the music. So for example, remember we covered all the different types of key signature. You have F sharp, C sharp, or F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. You want to know whether those notes are going to be sharp. So when you play them on the violin, you'll be playing the correct notes. Okay, the third thing that you can do is you can look into identifying the notes. So that will be the third step, which is the note identification. So a lot of students, they can't read and play right away, especially if not trained your sight reading. So do annotate all these note names down on the music sheet. So for example, if you need like A or a D or E or F sharp, so you know that when you come to that note or that specific passage, you know exactly where you're gonna locate the notes on your violin. Some additional tips is we do actually fill in the note names at the bottom of the notes, and at the top of the notes you can put fingerings. That leads me to my fourth step in our score analysis, which is fingering out the violin notes. So once you have the notes filled in, you do know that there are different ranges of D's, A's, C's on the violin, right? So you want to make sure that you're playing the correct string. So feel free at this time or at this step when you're doing your score analysis to try it out on your violin or just figure it out on the violin. And then you can also write it down like A1 or A2, so on and so forth. Yeah, so that will really help on being able to play the correct range or the correct string when you are playing the piece itself. The last and final step for step 5 in our score analysis, is the actual playing. So once you have all those steps done, you have your time signature, you know the sharps, you know the notes, you know your fingering. You want to try to bow those notes. So you can grab your bow and just bow them slowly. Yeah, I think at this point in time, you might be bowing really slow and that's completely fine. You don't need to jump right in and catch the rhythm. Okay, so once you've completed these 5 steps and you start working on the piece, do remember that there are other factors, and I'll cover it after we've done our very first score analysis for today. Okay, so the example that we'll be using today is Mary Had a Little Lamb. So I'm going to put it chunk by chunk right over here. So from the left to right, just with the steps that I've just covered previously, the first step, let's take a look. Identifying the time signature. So for this time signature, we're counting 4/4. So we do know that there are 4 crotchet beats in each bar. Great. So every beat's going to be consistent. Every bar is going to have 4 crotchet beats, or rather, they add up to 4 crotchet beats. Okay, next, let's look at the time signature. So we have 2 sharps. If you remember our sentence that we learned in our key signature chapter in our lesson, fat cat goes down, eats bread. This shows that we only have 2 sharps, which is the first 2, fat, cat. So F sharp and C sharp. All the F's and all the C's are gonna be sharp in this piece. Okay, so if we've gotten that 2 steps down up the way, let's go to our third step. So the third step would be to write the notes. So I'm just gonna put it right in for you. There we go. Okay, so I filled in the note names for you, and you can see the note names all filled up according to the notes and the key signature. Okay, at this point of time, at step 4, I'm just gonna finger the notes just to have a feel of how it's supposed to be. This might take a few seconds to get used to, so remember, have the patience to just make sure that you're keeping track of what you're playing. A lot of students, they get lost easily while reading sheet music and playing the violin. So try your best when you play or finger these notes, keep an eye, or rather keep track of what you're playing. Okay, so once you've done fingering and trying out these notes, then you'll start playing. So right now I'm gonna play it on the violin. I'm gonna take note of a couple things. So if in step 4 you've realized the notes and the fingers, you'll notice that we're playing mainly on the A string and the D string. So you're gonna have to cross midway. So let's take note of that. So here we go. I'm gonna play it together. You can try it out together, or you can listen to it first. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. D string. Back to D string. Here's where I take note of the string change again. Okay, great. So that's how it's supposed to sound. If you're trying now and you found that it's pretty fast, it's okay. You can try it at a way slower speed. But of course, with that being said, I'm gonna play it one more time at a way slower speed. So now that you know how it sounds, which was what I wanted to add in the 5 steps, which is to actually listen to the piece so you know how it sounds before actually playing it. That's an additional pro tip that you can actually take note for any piece that you're learning to play on the violin. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is you try to follow as I play at a slower pace and try to take note of the rhythm. So things like the crotchet is supposed to be held for 1 second and the minims are supposed to be held for 2 seconds. Okay, here we go. One more time, 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. D string. Back to A. Beautiful. Great. Okay, so that is a very simple way on how I use these 5 easy steps to analyze and play the sheet music on my violin. Of course, as you progress, the scores are going to get more complicated and there's going to be more detail. So things like maybe you have a mixture of rests, dynamics like your sounds, you're supposed to play louder or softer. Yeah, so do note that each time you progress, the steps can get wider. Yeah, so right now these 5 basic steps should be sufficient enough for you to play basic pieces. Do check out my book, The Comprehensive Violin Method, that I've written. I've included many pieces that you can try that requires this easy 5-step score analysis that you can try when you're playing the violin. I do recommend you to do it slow and steady. Do not rush into it. And of course, if you find that there's weird sounds and noises coming from your violin, it's probably because you're either playing the wrong string or your contact point, meaning where your bow is bowing, right, is not at the optimal place. So again, do try to watch. There's a lot of things that you want to watch, like your posture, your bow, and even your left hand, making sure that you're fingering the correct strings and bowing the correct strings. So do try going slow and steady rather than going fast and inaccurate. Yeah, so this sums up our lesson today for chapter 11. We are reaching the end soon of our violin course with a little bit more techniques and articulations to learn. I hope that you've been enjoying so far, and if you do like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.